Hey guys, today we're looking at Sabertrio Senza's NeoPixel Lightsaber 1 year later. One quick thing I wanted to say before we get started is that I am not at all sponsored by Sabertrio in any way. I just bought one of their sabers myself with my own money last year, and I really love the product, so I wanted to tell you all about it. So let's get into it. Alright, so the first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to start by showing you all my hilt, because I decided to do something with my hilt that I couldn't find anyone else doing in my research last year. And that is, I decided to switch the activation switch here to silver, as well as my CoverTech wheel to silver. And let me give you a good look at that. It's got a really cool two-tone color look to it. I really like how it came out. And I also really like the highlights that it adds to the rest of the silver highlights to the whole saber. It really brings up the lighting of the saber quite a bit. So as you can see, for the body of the saber, I went with a weathered black look, and I also went with the emitter shrouds here. The inspiration, of course, being Cal Kestis's lightsaber, but with obviously a more darker color palette. Because I knew I was getting a Neo saber, I wanted a hilt that looked good with any color. I chose to run with it, but especially purple, because I knew that that would be my go-to color, and it still is a whole year later. Okay, I will say the lightsaber does look really good with any color you choose to run it with. Purple, blue, green, red, all the above. Now, as you probably noticed, I decided to forego the LCD screen and the blade plug here. And there were several reasons for this. The biggest reason was money. So choosing to opt out on those two small features saved me about $60 in the total cost, which kept the purchase under $600 rather than over $600, which was really important to me. A second reason I decided against the screen was that I was going for a more realistic look for my saber. Even though I do think the screen is super cool and really fun, and I love the spinning kyber crystal in there. I think that's really fun and a really cool idea, but it's just not realistic. You know, it's not what you see ever in any of the films or the TV shows ever. And the reason I was going for the Neo Saber is for realism. I was pulling out the big bucks to make it look like I had a real lightsaber, and you know, the LCD screen would just go against that. So a third reason I didn't get the screen is because I was afraid of it getting in the way of my grip. And I will say that without it, this saber swings like a dream. It's really easy to hold, very comfortable. And really, it is easy to hold anywhere on the saber, you know, so you say you bought the screen, you can hold it down here. You could probably still hold it here. It wouldn't be as comfortable. You could even grip it up here. It really is a great saber, very well balanced, but I will say that this is the sweet spot right here. This is where you want to grab it. It's very comfortable here, and you can support it with this hand down here even if you wanted to. And so with that being said, that box definitely would somewhat get in the way, and I just didn't want that. And let me tell you that if you are on the fence about the LCD screen and you're not sure about it, I would encourage you to make the same choice I made, because several of the features that the screen will give you are actually available to you while your blade is plugged in. And I'll get into that later in the video. Now, one other thing I wanted to show you that I never got to see while doing research is what the hilt looks like without a blade plug in it. And so here it is, real simple, right? If I zoom in here, you can see those little pins down there inside that connect to your blade that power the LEDs, right? Very cool. Alright, one last thing I wanted to say about this hilt is how robust and high quality it is. Now, I have been careful with this lightsaber, but I also don't treat it like a trophy. And of course, why would I spend the $550 if I couldn't even use it? If I had to sit it on a shelf for its entire life, I couldn't even swing it around or even have a duel with it, right? That's the whole point of having a lightsaber, is to feel like a Jedi swinging around and duel somebody with it. So why would I pay for the big bucks if I couldn't do that? Alright, so I'm very careful with it, but I also use it. I get it out, you know, usually once a week, swing it around just for fun in my apartment. And I use it for games at the youth group that I run sometimes, so needless to say, it's been dropped and bumped quite a few times. and it is still trucking on with no problems whatsoever. In fact, the second day that I had it, I got it out of the box. I was so excited to have it, and I was working on the colors and the sounds that I wanted programmed. But I was charging it for a time, and I set it up to charge on one of the higher ledges in my apartment, and my cat decided to take that opportunity to knock it to the ground, right? And thankfully, it landed on the side of the shrouds, okay, and not towards this side, because I had to take off this piece here to get to the charging port, which is actually in the chassis itself, right? So you pull that off, you look, there's your charging port, okay, and your speaker is totally exposed, right, which is dangerous in some sense. It is the most sensitive part of the lightsaber and also the most feature heavy, meaning if that speaker gets damaged, you will very, very much miss it. Okay, but I will get into, later in the video, I'll get into why I actually like this system better than others out there. But anyway, so I was charging it, my cat knocked it off. It landed on these shrouds and actually bent one of the shrouds here. And so I picked it up, I looked at it, figured out, what went wrong, and I decided to just try and bend it back by hand, and it worked. So I was able to bend it back totally fine. Couldn't notice the difference between when it was straight just a moment ago. So I was happy with that, but then I went to turn on the blade to do a system check for everything. I didn't hear any sound effects putting in the blade, couldn't get it to really do anything. And I almost started panicking until I decided as a last ditch effort to take out that chassis again and plug it in to the wall and see what it would do. And for some reason, it worked. It reset everything, and I was able to get my saber back. So that was a huge relief. So if that ever happens to you, if you drop this thing while you're using it, before you panic, if it doesn't turn back on, just try waiting till you get home, plug it into the wall, and see if that resets anything. Now, my guess is that is some kind of safety feature built into it to turn everything off to protect itself, but honestly, I have no idea. No idea what happened that time. It has never done that again. But besides that, I have dropped this a couple other times while I was playing with it, and the blade was plugged in, and it has yet to fail me on a single one of its many features. Haven't had any dead pixels or anything like that. So believe me when I say this is a very high quality product, and you will not be disappointed with this purchase. So that's pretty much everything I have to say about the hilt. I want to give you guys one last close-up look with it, and then I will show you all the sound fonts that came with the saber. Okay, so there's the emitter shroud. Going down to the center with the activation switch. One other thing I love about the saber is that I have never ever accidentally turned it on or off. I don't know how they've perfected this button to make it so that it never turns or it never activates accidentally, but they've managed to do it. Here's that speaker down. You can see the silver down in there. I love the highlights of the weathered look on this. Beautiful saber. And then I'll show you what it looks like one last time. Well, I will say about these screws here, these do not come with the lightsaber. I found these at Lowe's for just a couple cents, and I decided to go for them because I like the ability to quickly take my blade in and out as I like without having to use the Allen key every single time to do that. So they don't hinder, they don't harm the look of the saber at all. So I'm really happy with those. I'll show you this one more time for those who care, like me. Alright, and that's it. Alright, so here we are with the blade. I did decide to go with the 36-inch heavy-duty blade, which has taken some accidental hits to walls and doors and ceilings and whatever. And I have yet to have a single dead pixel out of it, so I'm very happy with that. And I also highly recommend a heavy-duty blade if you choose to get a lightsaber, really from anywhere you choose to get one. Personally, I think it's a good idea in general, just to protect the LEDs a little bit better. and also comes with the benefit of being able to duel with it, though I would never do anything more than light dueling. But anyways, as you see, if we try to turn on the saber without the blade, it'll yell at you saying,
"Primary crystal missing."
Primary crystal missing. So we put in our blade, and the hilt helps us out. It gives us a little satisfying click there, and then we would screw in our set screws and be good to go. But before we do that, I want to show you one more thing, a cool feature of what happens when you pull out the blade. Gives you a little short circuit sound right there. So if I do that again, click. And that also lets you know if your lightsaber has loosened up at all while you're swinging it around, to tighten it down and make sure everything's secure. Okay, another thing to mention is that the hilt has an auto shut-off feature to save battery life, which is called deep sleep mode. So that activates after about 5 minutes of not touching the saber or swinging it around or pressing any of the buttons. And I actually like that feature a lot because I don't like the look that the kill keys and the charging port have on the hilt itself. I like the hilt to be a lot more clean, which is why I do prefer the method that Sabertrio went with, to have everything in the chassis inside the saber. I just like that clean look on the hilt itself. It makes it look a lot more realistic in my opinion. Alright, so we have plugged in our blade. Get that click. And we tighten down these screws. Okay. And we're ready to fire up our saber. The saber will always default to the last sound font that you had selected before it went into deep sleep mode. And so for me, that should have been the balance. So let's see. Great. Now I went ahead and changed the color for this sound font permanently by pulling out the SD card inside and doing that on my laptop. It is pretty straightforward to do if you want to do that. There's some videos online that will show you how to do that. I would just recommend to be careful, make copies of all the information on the SD card and all the coding and everything, just in case something goes wrong while you're messing around in there. Now this is actually my own version of purple that I created by tweaking the red and blue intensities a bit. And the reason I did that is because I found that with both red and blue on full blast, the purple color was there, but it wasn't as rich of a purple that I wanted. It was a little bit washed out because the more light that you add, the more white the blade starts to look. Okay, and that's actually how you program the color white. You have to set red, green, and blue to full blast, and then you will get white. But what I ended up doing was just playing a game of trial and error with the red and blue until I came up with a purple that I was happy with, which I will say comes close to the borderline of pinkish territory, a little bit, but to me it's still the most purple look that I could get. One other thing I wanted to tell you that is that what you are seeing through the camera is not what I am seeing in real life. Actually, that is a pretty good example of what the blade looks like in real life. This is probably more often what you will see on the camera. So you'll notice that the camera does a really good job at making the blades look movie realistic, where the center here, the core, is very whited out, pure white, and then the halo around it, as you can see, shows the true color. Okay, but what I see in real life is just a purple stick. Okay, the blade itself does not look white in the center and with a purple halo around it. It's just a purple stick all the way down. And so you'll see these videos of people saying the most realistic looking lightsaber, and of course on camera it looks very real, and of course these are very realistic as well, but on camera it looks like a movie lightsaber, but then you get it in real life and it's like, oh, it looks a little bit different than than I expected it to. And that's what happened to me when I opened up and fired it up for the first time. I wasn't exactly disappointed, but I was, it was taken aback a little bit. It wasn't what I expected. So don't make the same stupid mistake that I did. Alright, so with all that introduction out of the way, let me walk you through all the fonts that came with my Neo Saber from top to bottom, and then I will show you all the extra features that come with it as well regarding changing colors and adjusting the volume and all of that. Alright, now there are quite a few fonts that we have to get through. There's about 20 in total, so I'm going to run through them rather quickly. So to get to your sound font selection, you can hold down this auxiliary button.
Sound bank selection.
Okay. And let's go all the way to the very first one, Sabertrio Light Edition. You hold it down to select it. Alright, so here we go. Kind of metallic sound to it. Love that smooth swing action. Right, if we do the blaster effects, it's hard to see on camera, but you'll get, an individual group of LEDs going up and down the blade. Like that. Okay, if you hold down the aux button, get that clash sound as well. So when you're actually dealing with it, it is very sensitive and very realistic. Sometimes I can't get the clash to work, but it is a very sensitive clash system. Alright, so that's Sabertrio Light. So this one's called Sabertrio Dark Edition. Just so you know, this is coming out a little bit orange on the camera, but it is very much red, I assure you. It's a very, very cool sound font. I love it a lot. Okay. Also, one thing I forgot to mention with the last one, every sound font has this feature. There's a tip drag effect, I'm sure you've seen, very cool. Very intimidating to chase people down with your lightsaber, dragging against the ground. Love doing that to people, so there's that one. Oh, here's the, that effect. And there's that as well, so very cool.
Sound bank selection.
This one's called the Light, and I believe I changed it from blue to green permanently. Yeah. It's a beautiful green. You can see that there. Very fun. Trying to hit my laptop here. Okay. The white tip there. Moving on.
Sound bank selection.
Balance. This is my go-to. Love this one.
Sound bank selection.
Balance. Darkness.
Darkness. So this one I have tweaked the blade timing a little bit to make it open up slower. You'll notice. It's about half as fast as the other ones. So it's probably my go-to dark side. Now a lot of these dark side fonts have a delay between the blaster sound and the effect on the LEDs. I suppose that's because it's how a Sith decides to block blasters. I'm not sure. See there? You'll hear the sound and then react to it. So. Great. Let's keep going.
Sound bank selection.
Darkness. Vengeance.
Vengeance. This one's really cool, especially the lightsaber closing sound effect is my favorite out of all the Sith ones. Very fast power up. Again, a little bit of a delay. Very powerful attack sounds. Alright, and then listen to this closing sound. Love it. Okay.
Sound bank selection.
Vengeance. Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren, this one's really fun.
I've been waiting for this day for a long time.
So you'll see an effect with the LEDs in this one. Like that. Looks like kind of the crackling effect. Yep. Very cool.
Sound bank selection.
Kylo Ren.
Hoth. This one's pretty neat. It's Luke's lightsaber, or Anakin's lightsaber on Hoth. It's a more of a light blue, sky blue color, and it actually plays some of the ambiance from the planet Hoth in the background. For you to listen to. You can hear the wind blowing and the snow being tossed around. Like that. Very cool sound font. It has that droid sound effect. Right. Kind of a deeper hum. Very fun. Very loud closing sound. Hurts my ears every time.
Sound bank selection.
Shatterpoint. This one's based off of Mace Windu.
This part is over.
It's another great purple. And you get Jango Fett's blaster sounds. Very cool.
Sound bank selection.
So this one's called Shodo. This used to be a yellow blade. I changed it to white just because out of all of them, this one sounds the closest to Ahsoka's white blades, but I didn't feel like downloading an Ahsoka sound font, so I decided to make this one white, and that's easy enough. Alright, so here we go. Very, very cool sounding. I also changed the LEDs to blue with the white so you can see the blaster deflection like that. Very fun. Okay.
Sound bank selection.
This is General Kenobi.
General Kenobi.
Goodness, you're not one to trifle with, are you?
So General Kenobi, this one's fun. It's kind of a good crowd pleaser. Everyone loves to play with this one. But it does have him talking a lot, and so it's honestly it's not one I use very often myself.
You can't win.
But it is pretty cool. But he'll throw in some little catchphrases in there every once in a while as you continue to use that auxiliary button. Kind of a quieter hum than other blades. It's a little hard to hear it sometimes, but very fun.
Sound bank selection.
This is General Kenobi.
Crystal focus.
Crystal focus. This one's really cool. Very cool blaster effects. Things like that. Very cool swinging sounds. This one also has the feature of I guess a couple extra LED features as you turn on and off the blade. So it'll flash white before it goes orange there. It also has kind of a blinking effect. That's cool.
Sound bank selection.
Crystal focus.
Nebula, so it's a lot like Crystal Focus, but it's a dark version. Alright, here we go. It's one of my favorites of all time. For the sound effect of the swinging. All that. Very fun. Alright, so now these next ones,
Sound bank selection.
from here on out, that was sound font number 13, so from 14 to 20, the sound fonts do not have the smooth swing feature. They have every other feature except for smooth swing, which is kind of a bummer. I'm not sure why they didn't include smooth swing with all of them. But, it's not that big of a deal. I have plenty to work with for whatever I use this lightsaber for. And of course, most often it's just the purple with that balanced sound font. But anyways, let's get into it. This one's called Gray Meat. Alright, so no swinging feature. Really, without that feature, there's really not much to show. Other than that one has a more abrupt clash sound. Very slow uptake on
Sound bank selection.
Ringing.
blade timing there. So this one's called The Force Unleashed 2 Camino, so it's from the video game on the level where he's fighting on Camino.
Does the weather ever get better here?
This one also has the background sound effects from Camino as well, if you listen. All that rain. It's kind of cool. Oh, yeah, and a thunderstorm, too.
Give 'em a break. You lost that thing. It's a clone.
Okay. It also, of course, you can hear those stormtroopers in the background.
Sound bank selection.
The old Republic Crucible.
So these are based off the old Republic
Your
games.
overconfidence will be your undoing.
This is one of the protagonists from those popular old Republic animated trailers. So this one's pretty cool. Then there's the same thing,
Sound bank selection.
The old Republic Crucible.
but for the antagonists in all those videos. This is the old Republic Malign. That was different. Let's try that again. Not sure. It's a weird startup sound. There we go. Well, yeah, not my favorite font. It's kind of a weird one.
Sound bank selection.
The old Republic line. Nightfall.
Nightfall. These ones I'm less familiar with as we keep going down. Oh, so it's got a really slow blade timing. Let me show you that again. Very cool. Cool.
Sound bank selection.
Nightfall. Revolt.
Revolt. Well, that's fun. Yeah. So that was not bad. Pretty cool.
Sound bank selection.
Revolt.
Youngling.
Youngling, this should be the last one. I remember liking this one as well. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's got like more of an electric sound to it. Then there's this
Sound bank selection. Youngling.
one oddball,
Audio player.
number 21, is just an audio player. Let me show it to you. Just plays this random music in the background. And when you turn on the blade, it'll do this effect with the music, I guess. And it's set to Youngling right now because that's the last one I had it to. I don't know where this music is from. I really can't figure out this feature at all. But I wanted to include it. Oops. So it defaulted to youngling again.
Sound bank selection. Youngling.
All right, and that's all we got. Now the last thing I wanted to cover was something else I never saw anyone do while I was researching, and that's how to change colors instantly with any sound font, and then also how to change your saber's volume levels, and then lastly how to check your battery, which you may have already caught a couple times during the video. Okay, so I have it set back to the balance. All right, but let's say I don't want to run this sound with purple right now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to press my power and my auxiliary at the same time. And it's going to go into spectrum mode, okay? And then you just turn your lightsaber like a wheel, like this, and select any color you want. It goes through all the colors you have available to you, including the ones that you create yourself, like white here. All my purples are in there. I've made a couple different ones. Okay, so let's go with, let's pick something a little crazy. Let's go with orange, okay? You select it by pressing either one of the buttons. Okay, now it's your color. So it's all the features, everything, but with this color, if you turn it off, okay, turn it back on, it's orange again. Now, the only thing is if I were to turn this off and not use it for about 5 minutes, it'll go into deep sleep mode and it'll reset my sound font for me back to purple. Also, if I go into the sound bank selection menu, it won't remember that I changed this to orange when I go back to it, okay? So even if I do that without changing
Sound bank selection.
without changing my sound font at all, just because I opened the menu, it's going back to purple now, okay? That's something to keep in mind. It'll work in an instant if you just want to change the color, but I probably wouldn't use it if I was going out anywhere to like cosplay with this or whatever you wanted to do, or for a game, which is what I most use this for. I wouldn't do that because if you don't use your saber for a while, it'll shut itself off. It'll change everything back to how it was. So if you really want a sound font to be in a certain color, you have to go into your SD card and change it in the coding and all that, which is pretty simple to do. Now let's talk about changing your volume levels. So you don't have to do this with the blade plugged in, but I highly recommend it because it's way easier to do it.
Sound bank selection.
So what you do is I'm actually going to go up the menu.
Exit menu. System menu.
System menu, that's what you want to find. And you hold down auxiliary to select it.
Volume.
So you hear volume.
Volume.
You select volume. Alright, so this is your main volume. And there are 10 levels to each volume. There's 3 different volume settings. This is your main, so this is what you hear coming out of your lightsaber while it's turned on. All the smooth swing, turn on, turn off effects, all the blaster effects, this is all this, main volume, okay? And I have it set to number 8, okay? And so you change it by using your auxiliary switch here.
Volume.
That's 9.
Volume.
That's 10.
Volume.
And that's all the way back down to 1. Okay, so I'm going to put it back at 8.
Volume.
2,
Volume.
3, 4, 5, 6,
Volume.
7,
Volume.
8.
Volume.
Right? Easy to use. And I loved this feature because I was scared it'd be a little confusing to use this without that LCD screen, but as you can see, your blade helps you out quite a bit. So honestly, might as well save that $50, put it towards something else, in my opinion. But so if we hold down our auxiliary button, it'll switch to the next setting, which sounds like our minor sounds. So you're selecting click sounds here like this. Okay, you can go all the way up. I like to keep that at 1.
Sound bank selection.
And then I also like this last one is their sound bank selection voiceover volume, so I always keep that at 1 as well.
Volume.
Okay.
Previous menu.
Select previous menu to get out of here.
System menu. SD card.
Youngling.
Nightfall.
Oops, that's going the wrong way.
SD system exit menu.
Fourth edition.
Light.
Balance. Alright, there we are. The last feature I wanted to show you, and this again was something I didn't see doing research, was that you can check your battery life at any time while your blade is plugged in. Okay, so all you have to do is make sure it's out of deep sleep mode. Okay, so you've used it recently, but it's turned off, so the obviously colors aren't running or anything like that. You just hit the auxiliary switch here. It'll show you from red all the way up to up here. It turns green what your battery life is at, so mine's actually pretty low right now. I'll need to plug it in after this video. But yeah, really cool feature, and I'm so glad to find it. I had no idea I would have it, but it's there. Love it. Yet another reason to save your money and not buy that LCD screen, even though it is super cool and it has that really awesome Kyber crystal. I don't know. At the end of the day, I think I made the right choice. Well, anyways, guys, that's just about everything I can tell you about this saber. If you have questions or you're a fan of Sabertrio and just want to share more, please leave me a comment down below. I'd love to talk or chat with you about it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.